I did it again. 11 months since I've made a video. Where does the time go? I don't know. Excuse the mess, the hair. I have been outside shoveling snow off of my sidewalk. Indiana gets a lot of snow sometimes. Just depends. I got a glare, so gonna have to go without glasses. I left off on dating, so let's just pick that back up. Dating, my Lord, you know, I gave up the Facebook dating, and few people I met along the way. I had 4 other dates this last year, and well, I don't even think you can call them dates because we never shared a meal. They were just kind of like meet and greets. And 3 of them were looking for a new place to live. One guy, you know, I made them meet me in public, and excuse my nasal, I've been sick since November. But anyway, 3 of them were looking for a new place to live. One came to the meeting place with his tools in the back of his car. I swear it is the honest to God's truth. And he wanted to come to my house that night. He said, let's just go to your house and hang out. And I'm like, no. Another one just wanted to come to my house. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. He was still living with his, I guess, ex-wife. They weren't divorced yet, so that was a red flag. And I'm out for that. Nope, not doing it. I don't want my, yeah. So another one was living with his sister, and he was about an hour away from here, but he was looking for a place to, I must have loser on my forehead. I don't know. But I listen to their stories. You know, they do entertain me with their stories. Absolutely, they do. But another one, he was in between. He said he was in between finding his own place. He just needed some place to stay for a few days. And I'm like, well, if you just need a few days, how long have you needed a few days? I mean, you know, where are we at with that currently? And the 4th one, oh my Lord, had a very nice conversation on the phone with him, and he said, let's just meet at Starbucks. And I'm like, okay, you know, that's good. He said, no, I'm gonna tell you, I had a mild stroke, and you know, it's not noticeable, so I don't want you to be concerned about that. I'm healthy now, blah blah blah. I'm like, you know, I don't judge, you know, I have health issues myself. So I got there first, and I got a seat, and he messaged me, and he says, I'm here. You know, I said, well, I'm sitting down. He walked in the door, and he was dragging an arm and a leg. And I don't judge. Far be it for me to judge. But if you lie to me, I'm definitely going to have a problem. And he walked in the door, and I looked up, and I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. And he sat down, and I said, dude, you lied to me. And he said, what did I lie about? And I said, you lied that your stroke was mild and was not noticeable. And I said, you know, I would have not had a problem with meeting with you today had you been honest with me and been upfront and said, hey, my whole right side is paralyzed. I still would have met you. We would have had a great conversation, and we would have went on our way. I said, as it is right now, I'm gone. And I walked out. So, dating, no. Dating is, So, I haven't had any meet and greets probably 6 months now. I gave up. I'm like, I'm better off just on my own and just living life, you know. But I thought it would be fun to just hang out, you know, go to dinner once in a while. And most of these dudes, one guy didn't even have an income. I don't know how I do know how he was surviving. His looks, and he was getting women to, he was the one that brought his tools with him. And he thought Sure, I found me another one, a sugar mama. But no, this girl's not sugar mama nobody. So off we go. No more dating, and we're just hanging out. I've got a few girlfriends that I hang out with. We go listen to music, and I'm fine. I'm fine. Flirt around a little bit, and then I go home. So that takes care of the dating. I have notes today. Dating, that's done. In June of last year, I think I've told y'all before, I feed feral cats, and I just give them food, and if I can catch one, I do take it and I get it fixed, and then I turn it loose. Well, this little tabby kept showing up, and I kept watching her, and I thought, that little cat's pregnant. I know she's pregnant. And so I watched her. I think I started feeding her in April, May, probably May, when I noticed that she was getting a little belly. So I told my neighbor, I said, will you help me keep an eye on it? We called her Mama, and I said, will you help me keep an eye on her? And if you see her acting weird, catch her, and I'll bring her in. So it was really hot, and I told the neighbor one day, I said, I just have a feeling that she's about ready to deliver. And so we were watching for her, and I hadn't seen her all day. Usually she was there early in the morning, and she would eat, and then she would go on. And so it was about 8 o'clock that evening. I just happened to look out the front door, and there she sat. So I grabbed a towel. I forgot about the other one I rescued. But I had already had a cage from another one that I had rescued out in my backyard. But anyway, I grabbed a towel, and she was pretty friendly little cat. So I knew that she had belonged to someone at some point. But anyway, I grabbed a towel, went out, and I scrapped her up, and I brought her in. I put her in the cage. I had the cage already ready for her, blankets, whatever she needed, a litter box, everything was in there. So she wasn't happy at all that night. She cried most of the night. I got up the next morning, and she was panting, and I knew she was in labor. It was just God that let me catch this cat in time. So, because we have a lot of coyotes around here. And so she started the labor process, and this went on for 12 hours. And she delivered the first one very easily, and she didn't have any issues with it. She was tired by the second one, and the third one was breech. So I had to get my gloves out and help her birth the third one. And it didn't want to breathe, so we had to do some maneuvering. I'm not very good at this kind of stuff. I did take the classes with Clay when he took vet tech classes, so I knew basically what I needed to do for it. Well, we finally got it breathing good, and it kicked right in. Well, I had to run to town to get some formula in case she couldn't feed them, and I told her, I said, you behave. Don't have no more babies. When I came back, she had number 4. So she birthed 4 healthy babies, 2 girls and 2 boys. And the fun began. I mean, trying to keep her contained in that cage to feed the babies was an ordeal. She was mostly feral. Well, she figured out how to get out the doggy door right off the bat. So she's a smart little cookie. But anyway, she took off one day. She was gone for hours, and the babies were crying. And I'm like, how am I going to feed these babies? So I had bottles from when I had the birds. So I tried to feed them. They wouldn't nurse for me. So I just patiently waited for her to come back, and she finally showed back up. So I put her in the cage, and I locked her in there, and I said, you're not leaving no more. But it wasn't a process having 5 cats in my house at one time with a dog that hates cats. My dog is a killer. She's a beagle. She's a hunter, and she hates cats. Well, for some unknown reason, she was scared. She still is scared to death of this mama cat, and she never bothered her. Now, she did try to get the babies several times. She tried to get the babies. So when when the babies were 6 weeks old, I took Mama and got her fixed. I got her all those shots, had her tested, and brought her back, and she finished, weaning the babies. And one by one, I was able to find them homes. I was left with 2 for the longest time. And I finally found someone to take both of them. They were a bonded pair at that point. And I told them, they came to get the one, and I said that, they're bonded. I don't know how well the one you're taking will do. The last 2 were girls. And she took the one, and then she called me immediately the next morning. She said, can I have baby? I had named them Sissy and Baby. And I said, absolutely. I said, I had a suspicion that they wouldn't do well. I said, babies cried all night long. So they came and got Baby, and they're doing great. I know 3 of them, I know all about them. I keep contact with their parents. And the 4th one, I don't get any information on, which, that's fine, as long as I knew it went to a good home. But all babies are doing well. Mama's doing well. Actually, she's in the house right now. She won't leave. Now that she's came in, she won't leave. So she just comes and goes and does her own thing. She's quite the bully to the other feral cats. She tries to run them all off, and I have to scurry her back in the house and tell her to leave them alone. But she's a good cat. I'm just not a cat person. And so she does well with my dog, and we're just kind of letting it ride. Whatever she does, she does. If she leaves one day and doesn't come back, I understand, but I've kind of grown attached to her. She's trying to bite me. She's a little sassy, but she won't answer to any name I've given her. I've tried. When the babies were growing and learning to eat on their own, I would get their food in the mornings, and I'd say, let's go, babies. And I thought for a while she might have thought that was her name, but she won't answer. I think she's just stubborn, but she won't answer. So I just call her part-time because she's in the house part-time. But anyway, before her, I was in my backyard one day, and I saw this little cat laying in the grass, and it was crying. So me being me, I grabbed it up, brought it in the house, and gave it a bath, and I discovered it had no tail. It didn't have any place for a tail. So I'm like, this is weird. I've seen bobtailed cats before, stumpies, but I've never physically seen a Manx. So I brought it in, cleaned it up, fed it, called my vet, took it down there. It had infections in its eyes. It was just not a healthy cat. And the vet said, if you'll work with me, these cats very rarely survive because they are so rare. And the reason is they have no tail to protect them. I didn't know this. They have no... There she is. Meet Mama. But the tail helps to protect them from getting infections through the outer regions. I'll put it that way. So I told myself, I will do what I can to help save this little cat's life. And it was a beautiful cat. Absolutely beautiful. It had long hair. It had kind of like Maine Coon ears. And so we worked several weeks. I had to take the cat back multiple times, and it's an 1.5-hour drive to the vet. It was shots, B12 shots, antibiotics, more B12 shots, steroids, you name it. That little cat got it all. And it finally kicked in. I had to clean its little behind 4 or 5 times a day. That was key to keeping it alive. So came time, I knew that Mama was coming. She was going to be having a baby soon, so I had to find a home for her. I called him Banks. So my neighbor next door, I sent her a picture, and I said, can you help me find this cat a home? She's been great with these cats. And she said, I think I have the perfect person. And I said, well, that would be wonderful, but they live in Ohio. And I said, I don't care where they live, as long as they will take Banks and give him a good home. They had just lost one of their cats. So a few weeks later, Binks was still too young to be spayed or get most of his shots. He had gotten a few, but very few. So, and I told them up front, I said he needs all of his stuff done. So, you know, they were fine. Binks is living his best life in Ohio. He has a new name. They call him Wendell. So, another success story with the cats. So, the cats are all good. And I don't intend on bringing any more in. I'm trying to work with my city to have them come and catch these cats, help me trap them, and get them fixed. We have a huge overpopulation of feral cats. Quit. She's biting me. So anyway, that's that for the cats. All right, moving on. My Manjaro journey ended during the year last year. It became impossible to obtain it, so my doctor switched me to Ozempic, and Ozempic is about the same with me. I have the same side effects. Stop it. And but actually for me, the Ozempic is controlling my diabetes much better. All of my numbers are phenomenal right now. My A1C is down to 5.2, which is huge for me. And I've been on these shots for over a year now. So doing good with that. I'm down 64 pounds, which is fine. I am not obsessed with weight. That's never been my thing. I was getting upset over my physical condition, my heart, my diabetes, everything that goes along with that, kidney function, all of that. So the Ozempic, it seems to be working out well for me. We'll see as we go along how well. I just got some lab results a few weeks ago, and they were all great, all great. My heart doctor is so impressed. So that's that. In November, I think in January of last year, my brother took sick. He's been not well for many years. He had a heart condition and diabetes, and he'd lost both of his legs. But he took sick in January last year, and he was in the hospital for quite a while. He'd had a massive heart attack, and you know, they told him then that they thought he needed to have a colonoscopy because he was losing blood. And he wouldn't do it. He said, I'm at that age, Kim, that, you know, if I live, I live. If I don't, I don't. And I said, well, I understand that. I completely understand that. So he did real well through the summer. Actually, he almost came to my house once to visit, but he just, you know, it was hard for him to get around. But in November, I got a call that he was not well. So I went to visit him, and he wasn't well. He had just contracted COVID, and I didn't know this until I got there. He had just contracted COVID and was trying to get over it. And I said, well, I think that's your problem right there. I said, I think your COVID is, you know, trying to take you down. So a week later, I got another call that he was going into hospice care. So, of course, you know, we rushed to his side. You know, we are not a close family, but if somebody is sick or one of us needs the others, we are there. We are there. And we will stay until we're not needed anymore. So I parked my butt down at his little apartment, and the only time I left was to come home, take a nap, get cleaned up, and go back. And we kind of rotated in and out of there because there was 6 of us left. We'd already lost another brother the year before. So anyway, this went on for about a week, and he just continually got worse and worse, and you know, he finally passed. The week of his funeral, I got COVID. We buried him on a Tuesday, and I tested positive on Thursday. I told my sister, we had the big shindig here at my house, and I told her, I said, I don't feel well. I had a terrible sore throat, my headache. I mean, you name it. I had every symptom that you could get from COVID. And I knew I had outran this sickness for all these years. Clay, when Clay was sick, his doctor pretty much forced us to get the vaccine because he told us, he said, if Clay gets it, it will kill him. So we panicked and we both got 2 shots. I nearly died from the second shot. So I thought, well, I'm good. I will not ever get COVID. I got COVID, and I got it in the worst way. I was so sick, and I kept testing positive and positive and positive. For 2 straight weeks, I tested positive. I lost 12 pounds, not from my Ozempic, but from COVID. And I'm watching the cat. She's in the window. So for 2 long weeks, I tested positive. Finally, on the 3rd week, I tested negative. But I just couldn't get going. I kept getting congested. And so I called my doctor. They sent me for x-rays. I got pneumonia. On top of the COVID, I went and got pneumonia. And I had just had my pneumonia vaccine. So the vaccine I got was not the strain of pneumonia that I got. So I have battled it all winter. And went through the whole month of December sick, the whole month of January sick. And I started feeling a little bit better, and bam, I got sick again. And this time it was all up here, my upper lung, my nose, my sinus. So I do community service at our local community center on Saturdays. And I went 2 weeks ago, and I told my daughter-in-law, I said, I'm going to do my community service, and I'm going straight to urgent care because I said, I am so sick. So I went to urgent care, albeit I didn't have bronchitis. I have never in my life had bronchitis, but this has transpired since November the 19th of last year. I have been sick. I'm still dealing with a little bit of nasal, but I've done 2 different rounds of antibiotics, and I think I'm finally coming out on the other side. But we're going to wait and see. But that's that. Let's see, what else has been going on? I painted this back wall. I did this a couple weeks ago. During my midst of all my nasal crap going on, I got this painted. So I'm just about done with the inside of the house. I've been doing little projects here and there when I felt like it during the winter. My yard is coming along beautifully until 2 weeks ago. I had went to town actually to have the x-ray for my lungs, and normally if I go to town, I stay in town and I shop, do whatever needs to be done. There she goes again. She's a mess. But anyway, I came home and I kept smelling a weird burning smell, and I thought, that doesn't smell right. So I looked out my back window and I see nothing but smoke rolling in my backyard. And she's knocking stuff over. So I put my coat on and ran out there, and my whole backyard's on fire. And I'm like, oh my God, and it was within inches of hitting my pool, within inches. And so I called fire department immediately, and then I ran around my gate and I saw it was coming from next door, and I'm like, what? And it was so windy this day, and we have burn bans in place. If it's windy, you don't burn, and you don't burn in open. Dude was burning all kind of crap over there. So I called fire department, they come out and they get it put out. But it was 12 feet from my shed, just inches from my pool. And I freaked out, and I went after the guy next door. The fireman had to get between us because I was going after him. I'm like, dude, I have worked so hard on my yard, and for you to burn it down? No, we're not going to have this. But anyway, it did burn some of my fence. I have a vinyl fence, and it burned some of that. So this past Friday, they came and they repaired my fence. So we're off and running again. But the backyard is looking so nice. And I promise I will get pictures this year when it all starts to bloom and come together. But it's just been one thing after another with this backyard. First the pool, and then now the fire. And I'm like, oh, I can't keep up. But we're making it work. So, I have to keep you guys again for almost 25 minutes. So, Muriel, I can't even say the name, Muriel. I absolutely love your animation. Absolutely love it. I wish you would put one up every day. I would sit and watch it because I just absolutely love it. So, you go, girl. You need to do us an update on your life and let us know how things are going in your part of the world. And things here in Indiana are going pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Life is good. My grandson turned 15 in January. Where do the days and the years go? 15! So he's going to be getting his learner's permit soon. And, oh, watch out. I mean, watch out, people. But, yeah, he's doing well. My son and his wife are doing great. My dog, Doodle, she's hanging in there. She'll be 12 this year. And she's got it's pretty bad arthritis going on, but she's hanging in there, and as long as she does, I'm going to keep her around. So, all right, y'all, take care, and I will see you on the flip side. I have made a promise to myself to make more videos this year. I have neglected it, and I enjoy doing it. It's just taking the time to sit down and do it. That's the issue. So, all right, well, you guys have a good one, and I will see you soon.